further ado by bringing in the star of today's presentation. That is none other than our very own Rabbi Schiller. Rabbi Schiller, how are you? And thank you for joining us.
Well, Baruch Hashem, thank you very much for having me. I apologize for my lateness. First, I tried to go into my regular Sheer ID, and then I ran to the MTA emails and got the number there, which was, of course, the number for Rabbi Schechter's Sheer later on. And then I went back to the MTA, copied down your address, went back, it was the wrong address, went back again. And so that's why I'm late. But
perfect. We're glad to have
Hold
you.
on. I'd like to interrupt. This is David Gelman. I don't want to hear his excuses. He should pay a fine and just take it like a man, like you tell us.
So as you see, we do have some Rabbi Schiller's former players who have come to join us today. Obviously, they share a very special relationship with Rabbi Schiller, and they've all come to express their hakaras hatov and pay tribute to again, like I said before, not just an MTA great, but a Yeshiva League great. I'm going to bring up on screen, again, produced by our a different school. However, this second column from the left, the blue, that represents Rabbi Schiller as an individual.
Right. Well, again, I always liked the physical sports, football and hockey and boxing. And when I went to Yeshiva High School of Queens as a Rebbe, there was a group of boys at Ramaz who had played private games against MTA in 1977, 78. And they wanted to found a league. It was a group of 5, 6 friends at Ramaz. And one of them lived in Queens. So his friends who were learning in YHSQ, they told him they had a Rebbe there who was somewhat hockey knowledgeable. Maybe you want to contact him. So one of the Ramaz boys, Gershon Bergwerk, he lived in Forest Hills, he started calling me incessantly and was leaving messages at home and everywhere. A hockey league, starting a hockey league. And I thought it was nonsense, not going anywhere, it's nothing. And finally he caught me. And they brought me to Ramaz, and we started the team in Ramaz before there was an official league. And then Gershon Bergwerk, as I say, lived in Forest Hills, as did Michael Gelber, who was a teacher and a gym teacher and involved in Dov Revel, maybe as a teacher as well, I don't recall. And he spoke to Michael Gelber, who was a sports knowledgeable fellow who was involved in Camp Seneca Lake, and asked Gelber if he would set up the league. Gelber was very hesitant, and I and the Ramaz boys and Ramaz pushed very much behind the scenes Gelber and others to set up the league. So in that sense, I was involved at the founding. We had started practicing at Ramaz before we knew there was going to be a league. And I remember Benjamin Freilich, who was 11th grade at Ramaz, he said to me, Rabbi, is there going to be a league? And I said, Benjamin, I give you my word. I'm going to do all I can to make sure there's going to be a league. But we were practicing for weeks, maybe months before the league started playing that first year in February. So we started practicing Ramaz in October. Again, so another
and here, as
graphic
everyone
here.
can see on the screen right now, so this is a graph, again, produced by our Lions Live crew, about consecutive Yeshiva League high school hockey championships. And you see here that the MTA Lions, led by Rabbi Schiller, won a record 6 championships in a row.
So far removed.
Before the 92 championships, which was Fruchter's last championship, we were going to play Ramaz. I was on the phone with somebody, and the fellow asked me, because we were undefeated then for a while, is there any way you can lose this game? And I said, anybody can lose any game, but Fruchter won't let me lose this one.
At some point, but I have to say that I do have a lot of hakaras hatov to the rabbi. Took me on as a junior.
I would call him a fan, but he was much more than a fan. He was the neshama of our team, which is Dr. Gelman. So I turned around to Dr. Gelman and I said, take over the team. And then I handed him my hat. So that was the hachtara, in which I gave Dr. Gelman the bilus on the team.
But I think you see something very special about the relationship that Rabbi Schiller had with his players. Obviously, it's just enhanced when you win, and when you win at a clip that our school did, and something that we're very proud of in the history of MTA. Again, I want to mention.
I'm sorry, Rabbi Klonsberg, can I
Yes.
interrupt you for 1 second?
Sure.
I just want to make one ha'ara on what you just said. We have here David Gelman and Mark Fries. And as I said before, David Gelman and Mark Fries played for me for Fries for 1 year and Gelman for 2 years. And we never won. So I'm not so sure if winning is necessarily the definition of what makes the experience meaningful and giving. Because again, I'm going to get all misty-eyed again, so don't want to lose my Anglo-Saxon credentials, so you think me to be like a Southern Italian or something. So I'll keep my discipline, and I'll say that listen, Fries and Gelman didn't win the championship, but there's nobody I'd rather.
Not as much as I recall, Rabbi Schiller. And your memory, I think, may be better than mine, but I don't recall much that. I know I wasn't in your shiur when during the years that I was actually in high school from 2000 to 2004. My brother Aaron was in your shiur, and you have a very close relationship with him still to this day. But I think our memory, my memory was more of when I came back and started to work at MTA in 2009 and started coaching, that, I started coming to you for certain advice and to ask certain questions to you and to hear some of the stories and to try to, while times have changed, certainly to try to inculcate some of the things that you were so successful with your teams. I love the point. Rabbi Schiller was, a great one. And yes, he was the background at Rabbi Koenigsberg of your Zoom background right now is him holding our championship trophy. He spoke to the team on a couple of occasions in the locker room before championship games. He was definitely a father figure. Oh, there's the picture. A father figure, GM figure for the guys that a lot of people looked up to and loved having around to motivate. So
moment. I will say that it is incredible. I just want to give a shout out to Rabbi Schiller to see how many of his former players joined the former teams. We actually watched Rabbi Schiller's their former teams' videos before our championship game to get motivated. Dobie would play them for us, and I remember being super fired up after seeing the camaraderie that they had and the overall just pure glee of playing hockey and being part of that run. So a lot of our credit, I think, was to Rabbi Schiller and those legends in past that kind of just passed down.
It's great being a part of this. And, I'm probably the only parent that ever came to about 8 seasons when I had no children on the team. So I really enjoyed being part of it, and it's a great memory for all of us.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Doc. It was wonderful to have you all the way.
We will forever be our very own Rabbi Schiller. Rabbi Schiller, thank you for everything you've done, not just for our yeshiva, but for the entire yeshiva league, for the sport of hockey. Every championship that's won has your fingerprint on it in some way, shape, or form. We hope to see you around the games, continue to remain a very strong influence and very much part of the sports culture and the hockey legacy at MTA. We hope to make you proud and return the Lions to their proper place of glory that they held in the mid-90s under your stewardship. But thank you for everything that you've done. And I'm going to unmute everybody.